Hey everybody, welcome to the GMG review. Today we're taking a look at Order Battletome Kharadron Overlords, the latest installment in the Battletome updates for Warhammer Age of Sigmar from Games Workshop. Now this was a really early Battletome in the Warhammer Age of Sigmar range, and also one of the first kind of new Age of Sigmar universe model lines created towards the beginning of the game, which means it's fairly dated. And I'll be honest, the Kharadron Overlord players that I've actually played against and encountered at tournaments and events and stuff, while very loyal to their, beautifully painted and pretty inspirational looking army, they haven't always done so great. Historically speaking, it's a very shooty army and a very melee sort of intensive game where you're holding zones and standing in circles and stuff. And the basic core mechanics of the rules, they didn't do fantastic. So this update to the book actually, I think, does give them a big leg up in terms of being able to play them and just have them be effective. Like that, all the things that you're scoring, your sending points on are being effective on the table. I don't know how far it goes. I don't know if it quite goes far enough. But of course, I haven't had it on the table yet, so I haven't actually been able to see. There is a lot of changes, and what I've done is I've gone through my highlighter. I've highlighted in blue anything that's improved or just changed. And then I've highlighted in orange typically anything that's not necessarily unimproved, but maybe has gone down or, has gone up in the case of point values and stuff. So what do we have here in our lovely 96-page full-color hardback rulebook? We've got some stories. So the Rise of the Overlords, the Breath of Grugni, and the Aether Gold. These basically are space pirates, or not space pirates, but sky pirate dwarves. They're all about the Aether Gold, which is a magical MacGuffin substance of the Warhammer Sigmar universe, and it gives an overview of the different skyports and stuff too, including padding them out, because there are actually several skyports that you can now actually have your army be from, including Barak Nar, Barak Zilfin, Barak Azon, Barak Urbaz, Barak Mornar, and Barak Thring, and they get their sort of like special rules and stuff too. And then a new battle plan, Prospectors Down, some Path to Glory rules for all your Path to Glory sky pirating needs, and then your Warscrolls for your Grand Armada, the three different baby Warscroll battalions that make that up, and then all of your units, including one new model, a single new model. And again, people get very salty about this, but it's a new model that's available only in the 2-player starter set that's coming out basically, I think, along the same time as this, all for the pre-order the same weekend, pitting the Disciples of Change, the Zine Charmy, against these folks, the Sky Pirates, the Kharadron Overlords. So, the Arch Revenant's still not out from Loon Curse. The Ogre Tyrant is still not out from the Flesh Eater one, and neither is the special character Bone Reapers. I keep forgetting the name for those guys. I've tried to block out that whole experience from my life. And so yeah, he's the new miniature. There's only one new miniature, but with the amount of like stat changes and buffs, you're pretty much playing with the new army because everything's changed relatively drastically. At least in effectiveness and in some like core mechanics and stuff too. So we'll flip through quickly. If you don't know about the Kharadron Overlords, there's obviously a wonderful Wikipedia page in the AOS wiki pages, and of course stuff on the Warhammer community site you can read about too. But you get your special rules. I do like that they basically wear spacesuits. There's a dwarf under there, and they wear their like spacesuity power armor stuff. It is very techno-magic-y. It is very D&D Spelljammer, like in its like look and feel, which I think is pretty cool. And the way that they treat their background is pretty awesome. You get a full color like rendition of this, but it's not necessarily a bunch of new stuff compared to what's in the original Battletome, with the exception, of course, the expanded stuff for all of the guilds and the structure way their society works. Some timelines, the sky fleets. I do like this. I don't know if this was in the previous one, but I do like the fact they have like the layout of a ship and kind of how it works internally and stuff too, and how the hierarchy goes for who's on board and stuff. I love that there's like a sky shark. I don't know what else does it say. So yeah, it said the bartering with a trader from Barak Urbaz is more treacherous than navigating a shoal of stunfish. I don't know if that's a stunfish, but it's terrifying looking, and it's clearly being like sorted out by someone from the dwarfs. They're cutting it open to see what's inside. And then yeah, all your backgrounds for the different places, some of the special characters. So Lord Magnite Brock Grungson with his like steam-powered top hat, which I still think is hilarious, and everything down to the core characters as well. I don't think this would end well for the Sky Pirates. That's just me. That's a lot of bloodthirster for one space truck. And then we're into, come on, Legion abilities. Oh, we got our color section and stuff too. But again, there's no new models apart from the limited edition one. The Pride of the Skyports, how to paint your bros, how to paint special symbols on your bros even, which is pretty cool. I wonder if this was the last one Duncan did. I don't know. Maybe Duncan does these. Actually, I have no idea who painted. There's no credits, so I don't know who does the color how to paints in here. I just assume it's Duncan because that would be who would have done it back in the beginning. But it could be anybody these days doing these little tutorials. And what else? There we go. Forces of the Kharadron. So some new core mechanics for the Allegiance abilities, and these are pretty neat. So first of all, there's the 6 skyports. If your army is a Kharadron Overlords army, you can give it a skyport keyword from the list below. And all Kharadron Overlords units in your army gain that keyword. You must use the extra abilities listed for that skyport in the page indicated. If a model already has a skyport keyword on its Warscroll, it cannot gain a new one. This does not preclude them from being included in your army. So that's cool. And then we have Aether Gold. Now these are neat. Every unit in your army pretty much, so every Kharadron Overlords hero, sky vessel, and unit with 10 or more models starts the battle with 1 Aether Gold. Now this is kind of their currency of like, their social currency. And when they spend it, once per phase, you can say that 1 unit from your army that has any shares of Aether Gold will spend 1 of them. So you're not gonna get to do this, like you can't blow them all at once across your whole army to gain benefits, but if you do so, they're -1 bravery because they're sad because they lose their Aether Gold. But you can pick a triumph that's eligible to use. So it has to be in the right phase, basically, in the right period of time that you're using it in. And apply its effect on that unit. So ignore any restrictions on a triumph that says it can only be used once per battle if you pay to use it with a share of Aether Gold. So most triumphs are typically once per battle and they last till the end of the round. In this case, you can use them every round, basically once per round, if you have Aether Gold to do so. And that's typically, for the 3 triumphs, it's reroll saves, reroll hits, and reroll wounds. That's pretty cool. So you have your big gunboat and have it rock up and reroll all its wounds, or reroll, and you can only do it like however many times you have basically Aether Gold. But that could be like a really clutch turn where you're just all of a sudden rerolling all your dice and throwing tons of damage out. And it's a currency thing. There are ways of gaining slightly more if you have the right command traits and allegiance abilities, or sorry, artifacts and relics and stuff too, which we'll talk about later on. But it's a neat, I mean, it's a cool mechanic. It uses triumphs more. Triumphs, I mean, they're technically a core part of the rules, and you use them if it's uneven battle. It's used basically when you're playing open play, you're just putting models down. But I like that you're using them in match play now too, because it's just, they're neat. They're a neat thing, and now you can buy them with your magical space gold from the space dust that the dwarves are all addicted to. I don't know. MacGuffin pays for more MacGuffins. And then stick to the code. The code guides every aspect of the Kharadron's lives. So when you choose a Kharadron Overlords army, you pick 1 article, 1 amendment, and 1 footnote for your army from the table below. Alternatively, you can roll a d3 if you want to randomize it. Now, this is kind of cool because it's like a build your own allegiance traits list. And each one, basically, you get to pick 1 up from each table. So for your article, you can have 1 of these 3 things that'll affect your whole army. The first one is Honors Everything. You can reroll hit rolls of 1 for attacks made by friendly Kharadron Overlords heroes if they target a hero monster. Now that was a rule on a lot of the previous Warscrolls. It's basically been pulled out and put into the stick to the code. Master of the Skies. You can reroll hit rolls of 1 for attacks by friendly sky vessels that target a unit that can fly. I mean, this is a pretty cool, like, this is a pretty cool thing for against certain armies, like against the Tzeentch in particular, where almost everything flies. Your whole army is just rerolling ones to hit now against it. I'm trying to think about some other ones where a lot of stuff flies. All the bounders, like all the grot bouncy stuff flies. Like there's quite a bit of like fly out there keyword wise in certain armies. And then settle the grudges after, and this one's really cool too. After armies are set up but before the first battle round begins, pick 1 enemy unit. You can reroll hit rolls of 1 for attacks made by friendly Kharadron Overlord units to target that unit. So you just pick out 1 thing to die. So you know, like Nagash, and you just blast him until he's dead. And then your amendments, you get to pick 1 of these. So you pick 1 of these, then 1 of the next one as well. Always take what you are owed. Pick D3 different Kharadron Overlords units in your army. Each of those units starts the battle with 1 share of Aether Gold in addition to any they normally receive. I think that one's going to be popular. So now your boat, you know, it's any unit, so all your big gunboats could start with 2 instead and spend them maybe 2 rounds in a row to reroll hits, or to reroll wounds, or to reroll saves. And that's pretty cool currency-wise, because when they're healthy, man, they do a ton of damage. Prosecute wars with all haste in your first turn. Friendly Kharadron Overlords units can run and still shoot later in the turn. And then trust your guns. Add 1 of the bravery characteristic of friendly Kharadron Overlord units while they are more than 3 inches away from any enemy units. So that's kind of cool because it offsets the Aether Gold purchase as well, but I don't think that's going to be as you know, as exciting as the one where you just get extra Aether Golds. And then your footnotes, you can pick one of these on top of this. There's no reward without risk. Once per battle, you can reroll a charge roll for friendly Kharadron Overlord units. Just basically a free reroll, or free CP almost. There's no trading with some people. Once per battle, a friendly Kharadron over unit that's running or retreated in the same turn can still shoot or charge. That one's going to be popular. So you can still shoot and charge even if you run. Or fall back. And a lot of your stuff can fall back and still shoot anyway, but that it could be very important later on when you're wounded, because most people lose that disengage rule when they're wounded. And without our ships, we are for naught. Once per battle, you can heal D3 wounds allocated to a friendly sky vessel. And that one, again, will probably be pretty popular. Because healing is important. You do have a lot of built-in healing, like your riggers and stuff tend to heal your ships. But being able to just pick a clutch unit to get D3 wounds back could also be really, really important for keeping them healthy. And so let's jump into some command traits. And of course, these are all based upon who's leading your army. So you can have an Arcanaut Admiral, an Endrin Master, an Aether Chemist, or a Navigator lead your army for command trait wise. And for the, again, some of these are copied. It's like Wealthy is on all of them. Tough as Old Boots is on all of them. Grudgebearer is on all but one, I think, but the Navigator. So a few of these we're not going to go through more than once. So let's take a look at the Arcanaut Admiral. So Wealthy, he gets 2 Aether Gold instead of 1. So all of your generals basically could start with an extra Aether Gold if they want. Tough as Old Boots, 2 extra wounds. Again, all of them can take this. Grudgebearer, after armies are set up, pick 1 enemy hero. Double the damage inflicted by weapons and used by this general to target that hero. That's pretty great. Again, all but basically the Aetheric Navigator can take that one. Then you've got a Cunning Fleet Master. This is the one that is only on the Arcanaut Admiral. After armies are set up before the first battle round, you can make a normal move with 1 friendly sky vessel. It can fly high unless it can fly high unless it's an Arcanaut Ironclad. So your Ironclads can't fly high. Fly high is basically a redeploy anywhere on the table, not within 9 of the enemy. War Wound, roll a dice for this general in your hero phase. On a 1, subtract 1 from hit rolls for this general until your next hero phase. On a 2+, you get a command point. So you've got an old battle wound, which means you're salty. You've been in the wars before and you know things. And then a Scholar of the Arcanaut. You can pick an extra footnote for your army. You cannot pick a footnote your army already has. You get the heal and the fall back and still shoot or charge. That's pretty awesome. That one I think actually might be really popular. Although the extra CP is also pretty great, because as long as you don't roll a 1, you're just getting 5 to 6 extra CPs over the course of the game. The Senior Endrineers is for the Endrin Master. You'll have 3 that the others don't have, which is Grand Master. When you use this general's Endrin Master ability, add 1 to the number of wounds the ability allows you to heal. So if they allow you to heal D3 or 3 or whatever, then you're going to get +1. The Great Tinkerer, add 2 to the attack characteristic of this general's Gaze of Grugni weapon, so you got a cooler gun. And the Endrin Professor. Once in each of your hero phases, this general can be used by my Grugni. I have Eye on You command ability without a command point being spent. And that's pretty awesome as well, because that's a pretty powerful ability. The Aetheric Navigator now has a different ability than the Grudgebearer. It's the one that does not have Grudgebearer. So it has Stormcaller instead, but does have Wealthy and Tough as Old Boots. So Stormcaller, when this general uses their Aether Storm ability, you can reroll the dice, determines what effect it has on the enemy unit. So there's an Aether Storm, it basically can have movement or do damage. You can reroll the die if you don't like the result. Ride the Winds, add 3 to the move characteristic of a sky vessel that this general has in its garrison. And this is pretty important. If you haven't watched the Warhammer community, they've drastically changed the way that you ride in the ships now. They're just garrisons, which makes so much more sense. It makes it so much cleaner because it's a core rule for terrain. And it's just basically terrain that can move around. So the boats can be garrisoned. And it's such a better rule. I'm so happy it's there. It means that you're still technically on the table as far as like casting spells, dispelling, using a lot of your abilities and attacks, unless they're noted in this that you can't use them. So it's a big deal. Skeptic, the stubborn navigator refuses to believe that magic is anything but superstition. Add 1 to dispelling and unblinding rolls for this general, which I think is great, because he basically gets to dispel 1 endless spell and 1 regular spell every round. And he's just a skeptic. He's like, there's no such thing as Skaven. And then Diviner, after armies are set up, pick 1 terrain feature for objective. Do not take battle shock tests for friendly Kharadron Overlords units while they're wholly within 12 of that terrain feature or objective. That one's pretty cool, actually. You can just pick out a cool spot to go fight. And technically it's where the Aether Gold is being found. He's greedy. And then your Aether Chemist, again, you have Wealthy, Tough as Old Boots, and Grudgebearer, but you can also get a Nose for Gold. Roll a dice for this general in your hero phase. On a 5+, you gain a share of Aether Gold. Just get an extra one. Now, if you could use them on other people, that'd be really cool. I don't know how cool it is if you're just using your own. because obviously units benefit. The more guns you have, the more you benefit from a triumph, right? So for the general themselves, it's not as cool. Genius in the making, the range of this general's etheric augmentation ability is 18 instead of 12. That one will be popular. And then collector, you can choose this general to have an artifact of power. You can choose a friendly hero to have an artifact of power. So you have an extra artifact, basically, if you take him. So the general gets one, and then you get a bonus one to give somebody else. And then, just like previously, we have 4 different categories of artifacts, one for each of the types. So Arcanine Admiral, Aetheric Navigator, Endrin Master, and Aether Chemist. So, and I love the names of some of these. So the Chemists and Navigators only get 3 each. The Endrin Masters and the Arcanine Admirals can have up to 6 different kinds. So for the Arcanine Admiral, you've got some sweet Master Wrought armor. Roll a dice each time you allocate a wound or mortal wound to the bear on a 6 negated, so you get a 6+ wound shrug. The Hammer of Etheric Might, pick one of the bearer's melee weapons. If the unmodified hit roll for attack is a 6, inflict a mortal wound on addition to normal damage. Gattleson's Endless Repeater, add to the attack characteristic of the bearer's volley pistol. 4 Rune of Mark. After your armies are set up, pick one enemy hero. If the hero is slain before the model is removed from play, you can give 1 share of Aether Gold each to the 3 closest Kharadron Overlords units in that to that hero. That's pretty cool. That's pick an enemy hero. So if you kill somebody out, like basically if you kill the hero that you want, when you cut him out, you get a bunch of different Aether Gold for 3 different units. And there's no range for it, so it can be the 3 closest on the table. A flask of vintage amber whiskey. This rare dwarven drink is said to be good for whatever ails you. Once per battle in your hero phase, you can heal up to D6 wounds allocated to the bearer, or up to 2 wounds, or heal up to 2 wounds allocated to the bearer. So you can roll and get D6, or just take a flat 2 if you don't want to roll a 1. That's a weirdly written rule, but okay. Proclamator Maskhaler. Once per battle round, this general can use a command ability in their Warscroll without a command ability point being spent. Again, that one's very, very cool. So being able to do an extra command thing. Even if it's just a reroll. Like, so if you have like the Aether Gold, you can roll wounds all of a sudden. You could make something reroll ones to hit using the normal like traits that you have. It's only once per battle round, but I mean, that's still 3 times a game, which is pretty great. So your Aethermatic Instruments artifact, sorry, it's not 3 rounds per game, that's 6 times per game. Or no, 5 times per game, because it's 5 potentially, but usually 5 battle rounds. It's just not twice, because it's not both sides. And then the Etheric Navigator gets a Cyclonic Aethometer. When you use Sparrow's Aether Storm ability, add 1 to the dice roll, determine its effect, so you get a better increased chance of mortal wounds, basically. And you can combine that with the reroll from the command trait. It's Sverigstein's Illuminator Flare Pistol. The first time in a battle that the bearer's ranging pistol scores a hit on an enemy unit, you can reroll hit rolls for attacks made by other friendly Kharadron Overlord units that target that enemy unit in the same phase. That one's going to be popular, because you can basically pick a unit out and reroll your hits against it. So you could, and it's only the first time in a battle, but that's still cool, because it's not the first time you fire it, it's when you score a hit. So if you miss, you're not losing on anything. And then your Voidstone Orb. Once per battle, when you use the bearer's Aether Sight ability, you can say that the bearer will use their Voidstone Orb. If you do so, the Dispelling Unbinding roll is automatic, so you get a scroll like the Stormcast have for just auto-dispelling something. You get Ingenious Gadgets for the Endrin Master. You get a Cogmonculus. Once per phase, you can reroll 1 hit or wound roll for an attack made by the bearer, reroll 1 save for the bearer. You cannot use this ability to reroll more than 1 dice per phase, so every phase you get 1 reroll basically. The Aether Quartz Monolens. The bearer's Gaze of Guardian has a range of 18 instead of 9. The Seismic Shock Gauntlets. After the bearer makes a charge move, you can pick 1 enemy unit within 1 inch of the bearer and roll a dice. On a 2+, the unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. And then the one in the dirigible suit, so that's 3 for the one in the Endrin harness, 3 for the one in the dirigible suit. In the dirigible suit, you get an Aether Injection Booster. When the bearer retreats, they can use the Disengage and Fly High abilities from the Grunstock, Gunhaul, or Warscroll. So you get to like fly around, which is pretty cool. And that's all the time when they retreat, not just once per game. Phosphorite Bomblets. Once per battle in your shooting phase, you can pick 1 unit within 6 inches of the model and roll a dice. On a 2+, that unit suffers a mortal wound. You can roll again. Keep on rolling until the target's destroyed, you roll a 1. And then Miniaturized Aethermatic Repulsion Field. Each time the bearer is affected by a spell or endless spell, you can roll a dice. If you do so on a 3+, ignore the effects of that spell or endless spell. Sorry, on that bearer. And then the Aether Goal Inventions. The Aether Chemist gets these. We've got Emergency Vent Plates. Once per battle at the start of the shooting phase, the enemy shooting phase, you can say that the bearer will use their Emergency Vent Plates. If you do so, subtract 1 from hit rolls for attacks target the bearer or any friendly units wholly within 6, which is pretty cool. It's only the shooting phase, only once per battle, but if there's a big bunch of shooting after you, and you can use it in your opponent's turn, that's pretty great. Caustic Anatomizer. Once per battle at the start of your combat phase, you can say that the bearer will use their Caustic Anatomizer. If you do so, roll a dice for each enemy model within 6 inches of that model. On a 5+, that model's unit suffers 1 mortal wound. And then number 3, spell in a bottle. Pick an endless spell. Any endless spell can be chosen. All restrictions are ignored, but you must pay any points required for the model. Once per battle, the bearer can automatically cast an endless spell. Do not roll 2d6, and it cannot be unbound. Oh, that one's pretty cool. So you gotta pay points for it, but you can buy any endless spell in the game and just like Purple Sun. Or I don't know, any of the crazy Nagash ones, or like I'm just trying to think of like what the crazy endless spell I can think of is. Someone smarter than me is gonna come up with a way better combo, but like even just like the Aether Void Pendulum could just be like just do these smart wins in a big straight line out of that guy. And it cannot be unbound. That's bananas. You just have it in a bottle. I think that one may be very popular, just because you can use any in the game. All restrictions are ignored. Oh man, people have to keep their eyes on that. There's something janky's gonna come out of that. My brain hasn't processed all of the possibilities of that one yet. But obviously I can see there's lots of like cool sort of what's the term? Offensive ones that would come to mind. And then we've got our Great Endrinworks. If a Kharadron Overlords army includes any sky vessels, one of those sky vessels can have a Great Endrinwork. Declare which sky vessel has it and pick a Great Endrinwork you wish to use. You can choose to roll rather than choose. You can choose one extra sky vessel to have a Great Endrinwork for each Warscroll battalion in your army. You can't have more than one, and an army may not include any duplicates. So the Ironclad can have an option of 6 different ones. The frigates can have 3, and the gun haulers have 3 as well. So for the Ironclad, the last word. At the end of the enemy charge phase, you can pick one enemy unit that finished a charge move in that phase within 3 inches of this model. That model can shoot at that unit with its Great Sky Cannon, Great Sky Hook, or Great Volley Cannon. So one of those 3 guns gets to fire at it. Hexen Solutions Old Reliable Hull Plates, so add 2 to the wounds. I think that puts it to 20 wounds. The Ebullient Buoyancy Aid. This model can fly high and or disengage even while it has a garrison of more than 16, because you can't currently do that. Prudency Shoots. If this model is destroyed, no rolling to see if the garrison is slain. So usually you have to roll a die for every model inside the garrison. On a 1, they're slain. And then Magnificent Omniscope. Add 2 to its move characteristic. And Zonbarkhor Deal Breaker Battle Ram. After this model makes a charge move, you can pick one enemy unit within 1 inch and roll number of dice equal to the charge roll. Each 4+ to take a mortal wound. So you get an ogre charge basically, which is pretty great. And then your Great Endrinworks for the frigates, which are the smaller ones. You can add +2 move with an Omniscope, Prudency Shoots. No one has to roll to see if they're destroyed if the vehicle is destroyed. And Malefic Sky Mines. Once per battle at the start of the combat phase, you can pick one enemy unit that can fly and is within 6. And roll a dice. On a 2 to 3, they take D3 mortal wounds. On a 4+, they take D6 mortal wounds. You basically throw out the Sky Mines. And then your Grunstock Gun Hauler. This is the little baby guy. He gets a Ingrind Kaz Surge Injection Endrin Mark IV. When this model makes a normal move, you can add D3 to the move. If you wish, you can add 2D3 to that move instead of D3, but if you do so and you roll a double, then this model suffers a mortal wound after the move is made. It's temperamental, basically. You can get a Zonbarkhor Death Settler Spar Torpedo. Once per battle after the model makes its first charge move, you can pick an enemy unit within 1 inch, roll a die, and a 2+, they take D6 mortal wounds. Because you have like an exploding ram, basically, once per battle. That one's going to be popular, too. And then Coldbeard's Collapsible Compartments. This model can use the flying transport ability from the Archanaut Ironclad Warscroll. If it does so, the maximum number of garrisons is 5. And it can always fly high and disengage no matter how many models are in it. I like that. You basically put additional compartments on it so that people can fly inside. And so let's talk about some skyports. There are 6. Again, if you pick them, typically you have to follow the rules within. So a lot of times it'll say you must have this command trait. You must be given artifact power. So you're stuck with them then. So if you don't want to choose, then don't pick a skyport. But they're optional. You don't have to use them if you don't want to. Or you can make up your own. So first there's Barak Nar. You got Scholars and Commanders as your ability for your whole army. At the start of the first battle round, roll a dice for each friendly Barak Nar hero. On a 4+, they get an extra command point. And this is when each one on the battlefield, including any that are part of a garrison. Your Kharadron Code. Your army must use the following interpretation of the code. Article, respect your commanders. You can re-roll battle shock tests for friendly Barak Nar units that are wholly within 12 of a friendly Barak Nar hero. Your amendment you have to use, trust Aethermatics, not superstition. Each Barak Nar hero can attempt to unbind one spell in the enemy hero phase. It can already attempt to unbind a spell, then it can do an extra spell. So your priest basically can do an extra one. And then footnote, add 1 to the unbinding rolls for Barak Nar heroes. So you're basically the anti-magic hero brigade where everyone doesn't believe in magic. Command trait, Baraknar General must have this command trait. Champion of Progress, don't take battle shock tests for friendly Baraknar units that are wholly within 12 of the general. Artifact of Power, the first Baraknar hero to receive an Artifact of Power must be given the Aether Charged Rune. Once per battle, you can change either one hit roll for an attack made by the bearer or one save roll for an attack that targets the bearer to the roll of your choice. You can make any number you want. And then we've got Barak Zilfin, the Windswept City. Magnificent sky vessels. You can choose one extra sky vessel in your army to get a great endrinworks. You get 2 for free, basically. This one's going to be popular. And then 1 additional one for each Warscroll battalion. Your code you have to take is Master of the Skies. You can roll hit rolls of 1 for attacks made by friendly sky vessels that target units that can fly, so you always get that. An amendment, don't argue with the wind. In your movement phase, you can declare a friendly Barak Zilfin unit that will run. Do not make a run roll, instead add 6 to the move characteristic of all mods in that unit. So you always roll 6 for runs. Oh my god. Footnote, there's always a breeze if you look for it. Once per battle in your hero phase, one friendly Barak Zilfin unit can make a normal move. It can run, retreat, or disengage in your hero phase, which could be super, super useful. We got command traits. A Barak Zilfin general that is an Arcanaut Admiral must have this command trait instead of one listed here. But you have to be an Arcanaut. This one's not just any hero. It's a general that is an Arcanaut Admiral. So if your general isn't an Arcanaut Admiral, I guess you could pick. Yeah, that would make sense. Master Commander. In this general is in your army and on the battlefield. Each time you spend a command point to use a command ability on this general's Warscroll, roll a die on a 5+, you receive an extra command point. So he refunds his own on 5+, basically. And then Artifact of Power. The Staff of Ocular Optimization. Pick one of the bearer's missile weapons. Add 1 to hit rolls for attacks made by that weapon. You get a scope, basically. Barak Zahn, the City of the Sun. Deeds not words, add 1 to wound rolls for attacks made by melee weapons by friendly Skyfarers units. They made a charge move in the same turn and add 1 to hit rolls for attacks made by melee weapons by friendly Skywardens units. They made a charge move in the same turn. So basically your float infantry and your basic infantry all get to add 1 to hit rolls when they charge. So I added 1 to wound rolls for the basic infantry and 1 to hit rolls for the big guys. Your article you must take. You can reroll hit rolls of 1 for attacks made by friendly Barak Zahn heroes that target a hero monster. That's your article. Your amendment, leave no Dwarden behind. Add 2 to the bravery characteristic of friendly Skyfarers units that are wholly within 12 of a vessel. And your footnote, show them your steel. Once per battle in your hero phase, a friendly Skyfarers unit that was part of a garrison of a sky vessel can leave that garrison. Set that unit wholly within 3 of that sky vessel and more than 9 from any enemy units. And then command trait, Barak Zahn general must have this command trait. The bearer of the Iron Star. The first time this general is slain, before removing them, roll a dice. On a 2+, or not slain, you can heal up to D3 wounds allocated to them, and any remaining wounds that was allocated are negated. So you just come back to life on a 2+ with D3 wounds. Your Artifact of Power, it must be the Aether Sped Hammer. Pick one of the bearer's melee weapons, add 2 to its attack characteristic. I think that's a pretty high damage weapon, so that's actually pretty cool. And this is kind of like the infantry city. Barak Urbaz, the Market City. I love this guy's like steam beard. Your abilities are the Market City. Do not subtract 1 from the bravery characteristic when you spend your Aether Gold. That's handy. I mean, it's pretty minor compared to adding 1 to hit and wound rolls when you charge with your infantry, but it could be cool. Your code, you must seek new prospects for your article. You can reroll battle shock tests for friendly Barak Urbaz units that are wholly within your opponent's territory. Amendment, always take what you're owed. Pick 3 units, start of the game. They get extra Aether Gold shares. And then footnote, where there's war, there's gold. Once per battle, at the end of the combat phase, 1 friendly Skyfarers unit that fought in that phase gains a share of Aether Gold. So basically, you could use your share of Aether Gold, and then if you fought in that combat phase, immediately get it back. So go into melee and get some back. Command trait, again, this is listed to a specific character. So Barak Urbaz general that is an Aether Chemist must have this command trait. So if you have a different general, I assume you can use a different command trait. Replace the rules for this general's Aetheric Augmentation ability with, in your hero phase, you can pick 2 friendly Skyfarers units that are wholly within 12 inches of this model. Into your next hero phase, you can reroll wound rolls of 1 for attacks made by those units. This cannot be used by an Aether Chemist that's part of a garrison or a friendly unit that is part of a garrison, or on a friendly unit that's part of a garrison. And then your great endrinwork, the Breath of Morgrim. In your shooting phase, you can pick 1 enemy unit and roll 1 dice for each model from that unit within 6 inches of the bearer. For each 6, they take a mortal wound. So basically, you start like exploding big units around you, because it's every model in the enemy unit within 6. So if you like fly into like a horde of goblins, or in melee with a horde of goblins, you can just, in your shooting phase, vent the steam and melt the goblin. Last two, we got Barrack Mornar, the City of Shadow, fearsome raiders. Subtract 1 from the bravery characteristic of enemy units within 6 of the Barrack Mornar units. And then your code, you have to use the article of Seek New Prospects, your reroll battle strike tests if you're wholly within your opponent's territory. Amendment, prosecute wars with all haste in your first turn. Friendly Barrack Mornar units, can run and still shoot. And then Foot Knight, who strikes first, strikes hardest. Once per battle at the start of your combat phase, you can pick one friendly Barrack Mornar unit that is within 3 inches of the enemy. That friendly unit can fight at the start of the combat phase, but cannot fight again in that combat phase unless an ability or spell allows it to fight more than once. And then your command trait, a Barrack Mornar general must have this command trait. Opportunistic Privateer, if this general is part of the garrison of a sky vessel that's on the battlefield after armies are set up but before the first battle round begins, you can remove the sky vessel from the battlefield and set up anywhere more than 9 from the enemy units. If you do so, the sky vessel cannot make a normal move in the first battle round, and units in its battle round cannot leave the garrison in the first battle round. But basically, you do a pick up and move before the game starts, which is kind of neat. And then the Artifact of Power. The first Barrack Mornar Navigator to receive an Artifact of Power must be given the Gale Force stave. So again, if you don't have a Navigator in your army, I don't think you... Or actually, if you just don't want a Navigator... If you don't want to give the Navigator one, then you can still have a different one. This isn't normal for how you give out specific sort of like allegiance... No, not allegiance. I guess this is a city. It always has a different name, like whatever your special MacGuffin is. This isn't normally how this works. Start of the enemy charge phase. You can pick one enemy unit within 12 inches of the bear, have charge rolls for that unit in that phase. And then your Barrack Thrang, the City of the Ancestors. They're incredibly stubborn, not just a little bit stubborn, incredibly stubborn. Your friendly Skyfarer's model is slain while it is within 3 inches of the enemy. Roll a dice and a 4+. That model can fight before it's removed from play. It's a pretty cool ability for melee, but you don't have the best melee troops. And then the Kharadron Code, your article is the Chronicle of Grudges. After armies are set up before the first battle round begins, pick 3 different enemy units. You can roll hit rolls of 1 for attacks made by friendly Barrack Thrang units that target those units. So you basically get 3 instead of 1 for your grudge. Amendment, take help where you can get it. 1 in 4 units in your army can be a Dwarden unit that does not have the Kharadron's Overlord keyword. Those units gain the Barrack Thrang keyword. They cannot be the army general and do not count towards the number of battle line units in that army. That's pretty cool. So... they get Barrack Thrang, which means that you could take things like Hammers, you could take things like Hearthguard or Orc Hearthguard, and they're just in your army because they're all Dwarden. That's pretty great. I like that. You could also take Gotrek, because why not? He's not a Skyfarer though, so he's not going on any boats, but it's still pretty cool. Footnote, honor the gods just in case. Like that, just in case they're listening. Once per battle at the start of your shooting phase or a combat phase, you can pick one friendly Barrack Thrang unit. To that phase, unmodified rolls of 6 for attacks made by that unit. Score 2 hits on the target instead of 1. Make a wound and save roll for each hit. Oh my god. So Gotrek would do 2 hits with a roll of 6 instead of 1. I'm just thinking how many d6s of mortal wounds Gotrek could get if he was a Barrack Thrang unit. And once per battle, you decided you wanted to roll that. He could just murderize something with 6s. Yeah, because it would count unmodified hit rolls of 6 for attacks, score 2 hits on target instead of 1. I don't know if that's the case. I don't know. I think the hit roll is still 6. I think you'd only get 1d6 mortal wounds, but it would still split into 2. Yeah, I don't think you get 2d6 mortal wounds, because it's just 1 hit roll still. It's 2 hits instead of a single hit roll. Doesn't count as an extra die that rolls a 6. I'm just getting janky now. Command trait, a Barrack Thrang general must have this command trait. Supremely stubborn. When you use the incredibly stubborn ability, you can fight on a 2+ instead of a 4+ for the general. And your Artifact of Power, a Barrack Thrang Skyfarer hero to receive an Artifact of Power must be given a Grudge Hammer. And it's pick one of the bearer's melee weapons, add 1 to hit rolls for attacks made by that weapon. In addition, if the unmodified wound roll for an attack made by that weapon that targets an enemy unit, which was picked as the Chronicle of Grudges, is a 6, the attack inflicts D3 mortal wounds in addition to the normal damage. So basically you get +1 to hit rolls, and if it's a 6, you get D3 mortal wounds on top against any of the 3 units you picked up for your Chronicle of Judges. So that's handy. I mean, again, it's super situational, but it's cool lore-wise. Prospectors Down, a cool battle plan where people have crashed. You have to rescue them. It's like Black Hawk Down, but with dwarves. And then it's Path to Glory. And whoops, our Warscrolls. So first, of course, this is the usual MO for, we have 1 super Warscroll that puts all the baby Warscrolls together. These are the ones you're probably going to actually play with. These are the ones that are cool, but you're playing a giant game if you're going to play it. The Grand Armada, you have to either an Archon Admiral or a Brock Grungson, and then one of each of these. Although you could have up to 3 of the Escort Wing if you want. And then your ability is Constitutional Experts. Once per battle, if the Archon Admiral or Brock Grungson from this battalion is on the battlefield, you can use a footnote even if it's been used before in the same battle. So you can use a footnote twice, basically. And then you get your Iron Sky Command. It's 0 to 1 Archon Admiral or Brock Grungson. An Archon Ironclad, 3 units chosen from the following list in any combination: an Aether Chemist, Aetheric Navigator, or Endrin Master. 1 Archon Company unit, and 1 to 3 Endrinite Riggers units. And your ability is Lord of the Skies. Not take battle shock tests for friendly Kharadron Overlords units while they're wholly within 18 of the Archon Ironclads from this battalion. So there's only 1 Ironclad and basically the things that go inside that Ironclad, which is cool. And again, it's just, if you're taking 1 Ironclad, then that's, I mean, you're upping the point of the Ironclad quite a bit, and they're expensive. Let me tell you, they've gone up in price quite a bit. You have an Iron Sky Attack Squadron. You get 2+ frigates, and then 1 Archon Company unit for each Archon frigate in the same battalion. So you have to have at least 2 units of Archon Company and 2 frigates. And this one you get Bold Privateers. Archon Company units from this battalion can leave an Archon frigate in the battalion either after or before it's moved. In addition, roll 3d6 instead of 2d6 making charge rolls for Archon Company units from the battalion that left the Archon frigate in the same turn. So you can do 3d6 roll charges even though you're outside of 9 of the enemy and you're rolling an 11 on average, with potentially reroll if there's a hero nearby. So if you wanted to have dudes jump out of airplanes and go ruckus people, I mean, they're not the best fighters in the world, but you can, through some combos, you can make them pretty good. That's not bad. And then you get your Grundstock Escort Wing, 2 to 3 gun haulers, 1 Archon Ironclad or Archon frigate, 1 Thunders unit, and 0 to 3 Skywardens units. And you get Focused Fire. At the start of your shooting phase, you can pick 1 enemy unit from this battalion to focus fire on. If you do so, you can reroll hit rolls of 1 for attacks made by units from this battalion that target that unit in that phase. So you pick out 1 unit for them all to shoot at, and they get to reroll 1s against it. That's pretty cool with the gun haulers. Again, these are spendy battalions, though. So let's jump into some Warscrolls. Now you're going to get to see all this online in Warscroll, not Warscroll, the AOS app. I was going to say Warscroll Builder. That's just for making army lists. So you should be able to go and compare all this stuff today when this comes out if you want. But I've done some homework for you. I've gone through and just looked at the changes. Again, if it's gone up and down, I've just marked it in blue, or if it's totally new, it's marked in blue as well. Some of these are repeated, so things like Hitcher's repeated, Endrin Harness is repeated, so I won't go through them again if they're on a later War Scroll, but we'll go through them now. So Brock Grungson, his Magnates charge up to 6 attacks, and the Grungson's boast, it gained rend down to -2. And then his Endrin harnesses changed. They've all changed, basically. If the unmodified hit roll for an attack made by melee weapon by this model is a 6, the attack inflicts D3 mortal wounds, and the attack sequence ends. Do not make a wound roll. So his Saw with 4 attacks, if he rolls 4 6s, he has 43 mortal wounds instead. It's kind of like the Blast Ashes on the Retributors. He's got Hitcher, and then everyone with Hitcher has the same rule. If this model is wholly within 6 inches of a friendly sky vessel immediately before the sky vessel uses high fly, you can say that this is going to hitch a lift. If you do so after the sky vessel is moved, remove this model from the battlefield and set it up again wholly within 6 of the sky vessel, more than 1 from any terrain feature or objectives, and more than 9 from any enemy models. No more than 7 models can hitch a lift in the same sky vessel in the same turn, so you can do the float dwarf units plus a hero, basically. And then he lost the reroll 1s against heroes and monsters ability, but it's because it's now an article. So even though it's gone, it's still there as an article for the whole army. And then his command ability now is the first rule of Grungson. You can use his command ability at the start of your charge phase. If a friendly model with this command ability is on the battlefield, if you do so, pick 1 friendly model from this with this command ability. Reroll charge rolls for friendly Baraknar units that are wholly within 24 of this model until the end of that phase. So he just basically pops a big bubble for all the Baraknar guys and lets them reroll charges. But it only works on Baraknar, so bear that in mind. We got our new unit, the Endrin Master with dirigible suit. He has an Aether Cannon with a 12-inch range, 12-inch move, 8 wounds, 8 bravery, 3+ save. And his Aether Cannon's got 1 attack, 3+2+, -2 D3 damage. His dirigible suit weapon battery has an 18-inch range with a 6 attacks, 3+3+, -1 damage. And then his Gaze of Gargany is a 9-inch range with 1 attack, 3+2+, -1 D3 damage. So he's at 9 inches, he's got a lot of guns. And his Saw is pretty good, 3 attacks, 3s and 2s, -2 D3 damage. The weapons basically are relatively terrifying for the low model count of this army. He flies, and then he's wearing a dirigible suit in a single model, armed with an Aether Cannon, the weapon battery, Gaze of Gargany, and the automatic Saw. So he has all 4 of these things. He's an Endrinmaster, so you pick a model with a friendly sky vessel within 1 inch and heal 3 wounds allocated to it. So healing, putting 3 wounds back on a sky vessel every round. That's your hero phase. That's pretty cool. And if you have multiple ones, they all do it. Hitcher, same as the characters. And then by Grugny, I have my eye on you. You can use command ability in your hero phase before a friendly Endrinyears unit wholly within 18 in this model with this ability uses their Endrincraft ability. If you do so, you can reroll any of the dice that determine how many wounds are healed by that Endrinyears unit in that phase. So he can basically watch the riggers to make sure that they're doing a good job and reroll your low dice. He is not a Marine unit though, so he can't garrison, which is why he has to be towed. So anyone without the Marine unit, and also Brock doesn't have that either, it's why they have the tow rule, because they're not Marines. You'll notice all the infantry have the Marine keyword, in addition to being a Skyfarer. So the Admiral, he's got a 4-inch move. His range of his gun went down to 9. You're going to notice that almost all of the ranges in the basic troops went down, and I think that's to compensate for the fact they can shoot at their actual, like, their boats now. So they're not as long range to basically make it be a blind spot where you have to kind of get into charge range if you're going to start firing all those guns. You can't just sit back and shoot, because they used to be a 10-inch range in their guns. And they've got a Scaff Hammer, which attacks one up to 3. And then Protect the Admiral is a new one. This was formerly a command ability. Do not take battle shock tests for friendly Kharadron Overlords units that are wholly within 12 inches of this model. And in addition, roll dice before you allocate a wound or mortal wound to a friendly Admiral within 3 inches of Skyfarers with 5 or more models. On a 5+, you must allocate them to Skyfarers instead. That's within 3 of the Arcana Admiral instead of to them. So basically, they soak up wounds for the Admiral. This was a basic ability. It's now a command ability, so that's why I marked it in orange. Master of the Skies. Use command ability at the start of your shooting phase. If you do so, pick one friendly sky vessel that has a model with this command ability and its garrison. They can shoot in that phase even if it ran earlier. So basically, if he's inside the sky vessel, he can make it run and shoot. And then on my mark fire, you can use command ability at the start of your shooting phase. If you do so, pick a friendly sky vessel that has a model with this command ability and its garrison. Reroll hit rolls of 1 for attacks by the sky vessel in that phase. So it's pretty cool. Repel borders, you can use command ability at the start of the combat phase. If you do so, pick a friendly sky vessel that has models with this command ability and its garrison. Add 1 to hit rolls for attacks made by that sky vessel and any models in the garrison in that phase. So both of them get the +1 to hit rolls. And then up and at 'em, you can use command ability at the start of your charge phase. If you do so, pick a friendly Skyfarers unit that's wholly within 12 of the friendly model with this command ability. Reroll charge rolls for that unit in that phase. And it's basically just, even if he's not your general, you can reroll the charge roll, which is nice. The Etheric Navigator, he's gotten a big range boost with his ranging pistol to 15 inches and a 3+ boost to wound. And then his Aether Sight now includes a Dispel of an Endless spell and an enemy spell. So he gets 2 Dispels of his Endless spells on the table. He gets 1 that's just for the Endless spells, because he doesn't cast, so he has nothing to give up, which just brings him up to date, basically, and lets him do it. And then an Aether Storm in your hero phase is changed. You can pick an enemy unit within 36 inches of this model and visible to them, and can fly and roll a die. So if you're not facing flyers, this isn't so good. On a 1 or 2, nothing happens. On a 3 to 5, have their move characteristic until your next hero phase. And on a 6, have the move characteristic and the unit that, and they take D3 mortal wounds. And then read the winds. You can reroll run and charge rolls for friendly sky vessels that are visible to friendly Etheric Navigators that have not attempted to use the Aether Storm ability in the turn. So even if you're not fighting a flying army, you could take that, which is handy. But you could pin a Bloodthirster, you know what I mean, on a 3+, basically having its move. That's pretty valuable. The Endrinmaster with Endrin Harness is the foot guy. He basically had his healing range go down to 1 inch as D3 wounds instead of 3. And the Endrin Harness, if an unmodified hit roll for an attack made with a melee weapon by this model is a 6, the attack inflicts 3 mortal wounds and the sequence ends. And then by Guardian of my Eye, use the same as the other, the guy in the harness, or the float harness or whatever. Aether Chemist, again, his Anatomizer went down to 9-inch range, so it dropped a bit. And then he's Etheric Augmentations changed. In your hero phase, you can pick 1 friendly Skyfarers unit wholly within 12 inches of this model. Until your next hero phase, you can reroll wound rolls of 1 for attacks made by that unit. This ability cannot be used by Aether Chemist that's part of a garrison or a friendly unit that is a garrison. On a friendly unit, it's a garrison. And then Atmospheric Isolation. Subtract 1 from hit rolls for attacks made by enemy models while they're within 3 inches of any friendly models with this ability. This ability cannot be used if they're part of a garrison. So again, you have to be out. I don't know how valuable the Aether Chemist is because you have to be out of the boat, basically, to use all of his abilities. I feel like the -1 to hit one could have been in the boat. It made the boats a little more durable in melee. And then Arcanaut Company. Ugh. So Everything went down range-wise. That's the basic change. He lost an inch on almost everything, more in some places. So like the pistols went down to 9 inches. Basically meaning that you can't deep strike into something and then still shoot it. It's a 1 inch difference, but it's a big difference because you can't use fly high, drop down, and then shoot like 18 times. I'm actually sorry, it'd be twice each. So I get why they did it. I honestly think they should have just kept it at 10 inches and let them shoot. It's not that bad. It's a 4+4+. Like, even with 18 shots, you're talking about 5 armor saves with no rend on average. Now there's buffs and stuff. Yeah, you can increase it. Yeah, there's all kinds of ways of rerolling ones and stuff, but still. They didn't get 2 wounds. The Argonaut Company stayed exactly the same defensively and lost a bunch of range. They can garrison now, which is cool, but like you have to fly in to do any bunch of damage, which means you're not flying high and using all your army rules. Every dwarf should have 2 wounds. I just think they all should. If you used to be tough, like they did it for Chaos Warriors, if you used to be toughness 4 in old Warhammer, you should just have 2 wounds. I don't know why they didn't give them 2 wounds. And the other change, which is a bit different, is that instead of having the ability to take 3 special weapons, it's one. And I might have misread the old Warscroll, but it seemed like when I read the old Warscroll, 3 in 10 models could take a special weapon. You can't take just the ones you want now. You can have 1 of each. So 1 in 10 can have an Argonaut cutter, so I can have a volley gun. 1 in 10 can have a pistol, an Argonaut cutter, and a light skyhook. And then 1 in 10 can have a sky pike. So you can't take like 3 sky pikes or whatever. You have to take 1 of each. And then your Glory Seeker's abilities also change. You can reroll battle shock tests for this unit when they're wholly within 9 of an objective, and add 1 to hit rolls for attacks made by this unit while they're wholly within 9 of an objective. This ability cannot be used if this unit's part of a garrison. So you have to get out to do it, which again, meh. I get why, but still. And then Bjorgen Thundrick, his big thing is his range dropped to 9 inches again for his gun, so you can't sit inside and use it when you fly high. And then the Aetheric Augmentation changed the same as the previous one, and Aetheric Isolation changed the same as the other one on the Aether Chemist. So he's got the Aether Chemist abilities. And then Thundrick's Privateers, they gained the gun butts and sky pikes got a bit better. The gun butts wound on a 4+ instead of a 5+, and the sky pike runs on a 3+ instead of a 4+, which is pretty cool too. And then their Thundrick's Profiteer ability changed. You can add 1 to hit rolls for attacks made by this unit and reroll battle shock tests for this unit while they're wholly within 9 of Bjorgen Thundrick. And they can't be used if it's part of a garrison. So basically they get Glory Seekers on Thundrick instead of on an objective, which is pretty cool. Because it's mobile. And then holy moly, there are a lot of changes here. So let's look at the Ironclad. Well, first of all, biggest change, 3+ save. It needed that. It needed to have a good armor save because it's a freaking giant metal skyboat. It's literally playing World War II in like the Civil War. It's, I guess maybe World War I. Like Zeppelins would have been, armored Zeppelins would have been like World War I. But definitely World War II. So like, come on. They're playing World War II in pre-World War I, like turn of the century warfare. And so it's got a great sky cannon ability to fire shrapnel shells instead of just the shell. The shrapnel's a 24-inch range, 6 stacks, 3s and 3s, -1/2 damage. That's pretty baller. Or the great sky cannon shell is 30-inch range, 3s and 2s, -2, flat 6 damage. If you just want to kill a hero, oh my god. Grudge hero, grudge hero, grudge hero, and just bam. Take the one with the 3 grudges and shoot them dead with your your 6 damage great sky cannons at 30-inch range. That is going to be a murderous thing for killing support characters. And you can use its Urgold to or its Aether Gold to reroll all your hits if you want it as well, because it's going to wound on 2+. Even Goblin heroes are afraid of that. The Skyhook is 24-inch range, and it's 3s and 2s now, and again flat 6 damage instead of d6, and it never changes. The Great Volley Cannon is 46 shots now instead of, I think it was 10 before. But it's 3s and 3s -1/1 damage with an 18-inch range. Your torpedoes are flat 4. I think they were 2d. They were random before. Same with the Aether Shock Carbines. Oh no, they were linked to wounds before. That's what it was. They're not linked to wounds anymore. And they're static. And then it's improved its Aether Shock Carbines to a 3+ to hit wound and 2 flat damage. So 8 shots. This thing, it pumps out so much potential damage. 12 plus 12 is 24. Plus another 24 potentially if you get a good roll here. You're not going to always get that high. 24 plus 12 is 36, plus another 16 is 52 potential wounds with its guns. Oh my god, it's pretty good. Flying transport can garrison up to 25 marine models, and then it cannot fly high, however, use the fly high ability if it's got 16 or more models in its garrison. There's some ways around that, like the Endrin vessel augmentation that you saw. An attack melee with this weapon that's in range of this model can target either the model or the garrison. So you can attack the garrison as well. And if this model is destroyed before it's removed from play, roll a dice for each model in the garrison. On a 1, that model is slain. Set up any survivors wholly within 3 of this model and more than 3 from enemy units. So you don't have to drop 9 inches away when you die, which is nice because you can just get killed that way. And then your Etheric Navigator and Endrinrigger. In your hero phase, you can heal 1 wound allocated to this model, so it always gets a wound back. And you can reroll 1 run rolls for this model. Your bomb racks have changed a bit. At the start of the combat phase, you can pick 1 enemy unit that was within 1 inch of this model and roll a die. Add the bomb rack modifier from the table, so +2 when you're healthy, down to -1 when you're not. And on a 4+, take D3 mortal wounds. So you just drop bombs all the time. And then disengage. This model can, and any models in its garrison can still shoot if it retreats in the same turn, as long as it's no enemy models that can fly within 3 inches of this model at the start of the retreat. And there's less than 10 wounds allocated to this model at the start of the retreat move. So we can always disengage basically until it gets down to 10 or more wounds like on it. And it's at the start of your movement phase, basically, you can fall back, unless there's flying models nearby. So, against non-flyers, it's pretty powerful. Fly high, instead of taking a normal move with its model, if there's less than 7 wounds currently allocated to it, you can say that it will fly high, it can retreat and disengage. If you do so, remove this model from the battlefield and set it up, again, more than 1 from any terrain feature and objectives, and more than 9 from any enemy models. So, like, it's going to be really hard to pin these ironclads down in melee, because if you think about it, if you have less than 7 wounds on you and you're getting 1 back every hero phase, you just go, if something charges you, just go whoop and go anywhere on the table and just disappear. But you just want to stay within, I guess, if you're within 18, you're shooting all your guns pretty much, except for the carbines. And the carbines are pretty tasty, but you could pop back within 12 and just like murderize something with your guns. And that's really handy for not having to like commit to a melee. And certain slow units, it's just to be terrible. Like they're just not gonna be able to come after you. And then your Great Skyhook, add 2 to charge rolls. If it's armed with a Great Skyhook, just flat. And then Great Sky Cannon, before attacking, just choose shrapnel or missiles. And these will be the same on all the things coming up later on. Now, its move characteristic is variable now, but it gained 2 inches of movement. So it's 10-inch move base, and then goes 8, 6, 6, 4 as it gets wounded and loses its special rules. The Frigate got up to a 4+ save, which again is super sweet. Having more save is better. Obviously, but I think they needed it. With the amount of wounds they have, which is great, just having a robust save is a pretty big deal. Again, gained a shrapnel mode, which is exactly the same basically as the shrapnel mode on the Arcanine Ironclad, but it's D6 attacks instead of 6. 3+3+, -1, 2 damage. The cannon shell is exactly the same, so 30-inch range, 3+2+, -2, but it's D6 damage instead of 6. The Skyhook, 24-inch range, 3+2+, -2 D6 damage, and the carbines, 4 shots, 3s and 3s, -1, 2 damage. Boarding weapons have replaced, in both cases I should mention, I think it was like vents or something. You used to shoot gas. It's actually just supposed to be the crew fighting now. And then you've got flying transport, just like the other one. You've got navigator and entrance here, they're the same. Bomb racks are the same. Disengage is the same. Fly high is the same. Heavy Skyhook is the same. Heavy Sky Cannon is the same. The only difference is you can only garrison 11 or more models. Sorry, 15 models and 11 or more if you want to fly high. So that's pretty cool. Oh, sorry, and also, sorry, you have your move characteristic if there's 11 or more models. So you want to have 10 or less on this one to keep it moving as fast as you can. And you want to have 15 or less if you want to do the Arcanine Ironclad and keep moving fast. So you can overload them, but like you don't want to. And then we got the Grundstock Gun Hauler. It went up to a 4+ save as well. Gained a shrapnel mode on its gun, which is 18 inches, D6, 3+3+, -1, 2 damage. The shell went to 24-inch range, 3+2+, -2 D6 damage. The drill cannon, 36-inch range, 3+3+, and then -3 D3 damage. And the carbines, though, stayed at 1 damage. They didn't get the upgunned carbines. Some rules have changed. So the all-head full, once per battle at the start of your movement phase, you can just flat 6 instead of running. Sorry, well, move all-head full. If you so add 6 to move, sorry, it's not even running, it's just adding 6 if you're all-head fulling. So your move becomes 18 inches basically for 1 round, and you could, I guess, still run on top of that. Escort vessel, roll 1 dice each time you allocate a wound or mortal wound to a friendly sky vessel other than the gun hauler while it's within 3 inches of another gun stock, of any friendly gun stock gun haulers. On a 6 is negated. So it's not even passed on, it's just a 6+ wound shrug if one of these guys is within range of one of the gun haulers. That's pretty cool. That's a worthwhile reason to take it in and of itself, because it doesn't even, like, it just goes away. It doesn't get put onto the gun hauler or anything like that. They just, they throw chaff, I guess. And then your bomb racks, at the start of your combat phase, you can pick one enemy unit within 1 inch of this model and roll a die. On a 4+, that enemy unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. Alright, disengage. This model and any models in its garrison can retreat and still shoot in the same turn, as long as there's no enemy units that can fly within 3 at the start of the retreat move. And then fly high is the same. Drill cannon. If the unmodified hit roll for an attack made with this drill cannon's a 5+, takes 3 mortal wounds, and the attack sequence ends. And then sky cannon's the same as the other one. You just choose one of the 2 modes to fire with. And then we've got the Grundstock Thunders. They went up to 2 wounds. So the Thunders have 2 wounds now, just like the kind of floaty dwarves do, so the gun guys. They gained an attack on the Endrinworks Fumigator up to 3, and its wound roll went down to 3+. So I guess that kind of evens out. The Deck Sweeper is 4 attacks now, and Drill Bit is now a melee weapon. It's actually a profile instead of being a skill. So the Drill Bit is like a 3-inch range D3, 4+, 4+, -1 damage, extra melee attack basically that you can choose an option for one of your unit leaders. You get a Gunnery Sergeant. No longer can you have unlimited honor bearers. It's just 1 in 5 now. Previously, you could just have any model. They could just be honor bearers. And then Choking Fug is subtract 1 from hit rolls within 3, same as the other guys. Etheric Fumigator. This model cannot be used as part of a garrison if you're going to do that, so you can't do it as part of a garrison. And then Drive them back. Add 1 of the attack characteristic of missile weapons used by this unit while enemy units are within 3. This ability cannot be used as a part of a garrison, which again makes them... I think that one should have been garrison-y. And then changed Pin Them, Shred Them, Finish Them. It used to be 2 different rules. Now it's all in 1. Add 1 hit rolls for attacks made with a Grundstock Mortar, Deck Sweeper, or Aether Cannon when it is used by a unit that has at least 1 of each of these weapons. So this can't be used as part of a garrison. So as long as all 3 different weapons are alive in the Thunderers unit, they get +1 to hit. So that actually is pretty cool because it means that you've got 3 pluses instead of the 4 pluses for all those guns. And they lost their pullback rule, being able to drag people. Your Endrinworks, they changed a bit. They got flat 3 damage now for the grapple launcher or skyhook, but then you basically, they're almost the same gun. One does a slightly different rend, and one does flat damage versus doing D3 damage, but you get special rules. You get the drill launcher's rule now is if the unmodified hit roll for an attack made with this is 6, the attack inflicts 3 mortal wounds, the attack sequence ends. They get Endrincraft, so at the start of your hero phase, you can pick 1 friendly sky vessel within 1 inch and roll a die for each model in this unit, and a 4+, heal a wound. So you can reroll that 4+ if the guy's watching him, he's got his eye on them. The grapnel launcher, enemy units cannot retreat if they're within 3 of models of the grapnel launcher. Hitchers, same as everybody else, and skyhook, add 1 to charge rolls for this unit if any models from it are armed with a skyhook. So you can keep it from falling back with the grapnel launcher, and the hitchers means that you can have like 6 of them float around nearby a boat and just follow it. Skywardens, and this Vulcanizer Pistol, 1 up to 2 attacks, which is kind of cool. And your grapnel and skyhook is the same as the one over here. It's got up to 3 damage. Drill launcher is the same. Grapnel launcher is the same. Hitchers is the same. Skyhook is the same. But they get Sky Mines, which means if an enemy unit that can fly charges and ends within 1 inch of any friendly models in this unit, roll dice for each model in that enemy unit. On a 6 to take a mortal wound. So flyers who charge these guys within their charge there, like it could be on bounders or really anybody, 6 take a mortal wound. And then time charges, roll dice for each enemy unit that's within 3 inches of this unit when they immediately before they make a retreat move. On a 4+, the unit being rolled for takes D3 mortal wounds. So you fall back basically and like hum a bunch of like time grenades at them as you go, which is pretty cool. And we're into pitch battle profiles. I did make some notes on what went up and down. I had to look at some things twice because I was like, why did that go up? But it kind of makes sense, I guess. The Argonaut Company went down 30 points to 90 for 10, which is I think they needed to be discounted in their battle line. Your Frigate went up 50 though. It's 250 now, which with the improvements I can accept. The Ironclad went up 130 points to 510. I don't know. 510 points is really spendy. Like 100, it was 380 before. Now it still seems spendy. You could have 2 of them in your army. I don't know if you're gonna be able to take 2 anymore. It's 1,000 points for 2 of them. They got a lot of wounds potentially, and they're getting a lot of wounds back too, but that's a lot. Aether Chemist went down, I think 50 points to 90. The Navigator and the Admiral both went up though 20 points to 100 and 140. And then Brock stayed the same at 240, and the Dirigible Suit one is 220, so the new one. The Endrin Master with Endrin Harness is just 100, went down 20. The Profiteers went down 90 points to 140, which is kind of cool. The Endrin Riggers went down 20 to 100, and the Gun Hauler went down 20 to 150. The Gun Hauler is kind of worth taking now, I think. The Thunders, however, went up 30 points to 120, and the Sky Warden stayed the same at 100. Then your Grand Armada, the Super Warscroll is 90, the Escort Wing is 140, the Iron Sky Attack Squadron is 120, and the Iron Sky Command is 130. Your allies are Dispossessed Fireslayers, Ironweld Arsenal, and Stormcast Eternals. And that's it. So what do I think? Well, honestly, I think that this was a much needed damage output buff to these guys. I like the simplicity of making them garrisons. I wish a few of the things that were called out as not being available to garrisons were actually available. I don't think that it would have hurt to have certain things like the Thunderers be able to stay in the boats and still shoot. I do like the trick of being able to fly high until you get to a certain moon level and get away and like pull out of combats and stuff. But with the ability to like camp objectives, you do have to drop guys out to be able to hold stuff. And certain missions are going to suffer from the fact they don't have a lot of models. There is no call out here for having gun haulers or whatever count as multiple models. And I don't believe that when you're garrisoning, you actually count as that many models for holding objective. I could be wrong. Yeah, I could be wrong. I read the garrison rules again just before doing this, and I pulled them up. I don't know. You actually might count, because you do count as... it says you're purely decorative. Yeah, I don't think you're still just a single model, because I think with the garrison, it said when you place models on the train feature, you're purely considered to be decorative. The range of visibility honored from the garrison is determined from the train feature instead. The garrison model can attack and be attacked, cast or unbind spells. The garrison unit counts as being cover if it's attacked. In addition, subtract 1 from hit rolls for attacks made against the garrison unit. They can leave in your movement phase. Only garrison models can be placed or moved onto the flat areas of a thing. Models that can fly can move over them. Doing so is purely decorative. These models are still treated as garrisoning the train feature for rules purposes. I don't... If there's any models using the garrison train feature removed from the battlefield and are soon to be inside the train feature. You must treat a train feature garrisoned by the enemy as if it were an enemy model. I honestly don't know how that interacts. Maybe it's underscoring objectives. Because it feels like it's going to be something that they struggle with. Objectives. Battles are fought for objectives. In a battle, have objectives. Say where they're located. Place a coin. When measuring distances, always to the center of the marker. You must count the number of models you have within 6 inches of the center of each objective. You gain control of the objective where your count is higher. Once you gain control, you gain it until the enemy gains control. The model can only be counted towards gaining control of one objective per turn. If one of your models would be counted towards gaining more than one, you have to pick which one's gaining towards that turn. I don't think that they count as being on the table. The models aren't physically on the table, so I don't think they actually count for scoring objectives, which means you have to get out at some point. I could be wrong. Obviously, let me know. Maybe there's an FAQ for the old Overlords book that talks about this, but I don't think there is. I think you have to actually dump out to go do it. So, yeah, I think it's going to be neat. I have seen them on the table. They're so different from... Like, it's a really shooty army, and there's not a lot of, like, really high output melee potential. Although the individual heroes carry some decent melee weapons, it's not, like, as crazy as, like, some armies are. So, I don't know. I have to see it on the table and, like, play against it to really, like, sink my teeth into it. But I do like that it's a new take on an Age of Sigmar army, because there's not a lot of shooting armies out there. And this one feels fast, mobile, and now fairly durable with all the save increases, tons of healing built into it, and a good amount of customization. So I'm into like the you can take allies skyport, and I'm also kind of into the one that allows you to boost your sky vessels with extra endrinworks or whatever it's called, the relics for boats. But we'll see how that goes. At 510 points though for the Ironclad really is the heavy lifter. Your units are pretty cheap. You're going to put 10 to 30, no, I guess you're only going to put 10 in each one, maybe have some float dwarves pile in behind them. You need an extra battle line on top of that. You could take the frigates as battle line. I don't know how, I'd have to work it up in my head, but like, I'd want to have at least 3 or 4 boats, and 2 big ones is 1,020 points. So we'll see. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that review. We'll check out the Disciples of Tzeentch one. It's also out today. You can click up here in the cards to see it. And I'll see you for more Warhammer Age of Sigmar in the future. That's not Ash. Have fun. I hope you enjoyed that video. If you want to support the channel, of course, like and subscribe and hit the little bell below so you get notifications when I post future content. I do post stuff 7 days a week. If you want to support the channel further, you can, of course, buy a t-shirt through Spreadshirts, buy a measuring gauge or objective markers from Deathray Designs, or, of course, most importantly, there is Patreon. Patreon is what makes all this possible, keeps the lights on, pays for the studio costs, pays for the equipment, model costs, and everything else, and most importantly, puts food in my kids' bellies and a roof over their heads. Big thanks to everyone, past, future, who supported me. I do this stuff because of you guys, and of course, I will continue doing it as long as I can.